Everything just changed for the New York Knicks as it is official. Tom Thibodeau has found himself on the hot seat with the New York Knicks in regards to this playoffs, and other moves could be made as well, as no job is really safe outside of these two who have already thought about firing Tom Thibodeau in the past, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. And if you guys are enjoying the content and are part of that 62% that's not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to Knicks Digest. We have multiple videos every single weekday and one video every weekend. You guys don't want to miss out. Bunch of different topics, and we're going to get going with those TikToks and YouTube shorts way more frequently. So make sure to subscribe. Lots of big things coming for the playoffs. But let's jump into the video because we do have a lot to discuss. As we know, Tom Thibodeau has found himself on the hot seat. He's starting to sweat a little bit as recent reports from Ian Begley have revealed how the Knicks truly feel about Tom Thibodeau and the job he's done with the New York Knicks, specifically in regards to this season, which very quickly could become a letdown if things do not go right in the playoffs. And if things don't go very well for the New York Knicks, Tom Thibodeau will likely find himself out of a job and no longer the head coach of the New York Knicks. Now, they might move him into some vague front office role so Leon Rose does not have to fire Thibodeau, because Leon Rose and Thibodeau are close, but there is a real world where Tom Thibodeau is going to get fired after this season. Now, taking a look at what Begley mentioned, he said, as noted on the Putback, the show he does, that the stakes are high for Tom Thibodeau entering the playoffs. If the Knicks beat Detroit and are competitive in the second round against Boston, Begley said that he would assume that that everything's going to be fine, essentially. However, given Thibodeau's success in New York, this is the most likely scenario. But if the Knicks struggle against Detroit and even lose, or are non-competitive against the Boston Celtics, there will be some tough conversations about the franchise's next steps. And it was also mentioned on top of that the post-mortem analysis will include an assessment of Tom Thibodeau. Would the Knicks head coach survive a subpar playoff performance? It all depends on how team president Leon Rose and Knicks owner James Dolan view this season. Now, I've mentioned this before, and it's important to mention it again. I think Leon Rose went into this season understanding the Knicks were not a fully finished product. Yes, the core of the team is there, but the rest is not there yet. They have their core, but they need to still get that bench right, get the other intangible situations right, those outside guys, those role players, those guys, they still need to figure that stuff out. So I don't think Leon Rose entered this season looking at the Knicks as a finished product. All that being said, the New York Knicks, if they do lose to the Detroit Pistons in the first round after going 51-31 and becoming a third seed, no matter who you are, if you lose in the first round to a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in nearly 10, a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 10 years, and last time they were in the playoffs, not a single player on the Pistons roster is even on the team now, because not a single one is. The last time the Detroit Pistons made the playoffs was when Blake Griffin was on the team, when he played on that mangled leg and was never the same because he wanted to give the Pistons all he had. He had a phenomenal year with the Detroit Pistons that year, and ever since, he kind of never got healthy again and is now retired from basketball. But where things stand right now, if Tom Thibodeau drops this series, he's likely going. If he drops the series to the Pistons, which I don't think they will, I think the Knicks are going to win in 5 games. He's going to get fired. There's no way around it. He's going to get fired. He's 100% going to get fired if he drops this series to the Pistons. He will not be able to save his job. The Knicks have had enough issues to where they will move in a different direction. Tibbs, for his career with the New York Knicks, has been very successful for the most part, 226 and 174. On top of that, going 14-15 in the playoffs when never making a conference finals. So there is some stuff to like. There's been other issues with it, but he's not a perfect coach. However, he has been a good coach for the New York Knicks. For sure, he has coached them well over his time here. On top of that, Tibbs had a lot to say recently talking about Cade Cunningham, saying you have to throw a bunch of different things at him. That definitely puts a lot of fear in Knicks fans who want to see OG Anunoby guard Cade Cunningham, because I swear, man, if this playoff series begins and we see Mikal guarding him, and this is nothing against Mikal Bridges, this is about OG Anunoby being the best defender on the Knicks. You put OG on Cade Cunningham. The biggest knock on Cade's game is that he's slower than most stars. The biggest problem that OG Anunoby has when defending people is if he's guarding a smaller, quicker guard. Cade Cunningham is the exact type of player that OG Anunoby could put in jail. And Tibbs also saying, I know the challenge of getting into March and dealing with the injuries and all that and the heavy road schedule. Jalen Brunson got hurt. And basically he said that they had an unusual April with all the back-to-backs and the injuries, and it was tough to get a rhythm. On top of that, talking about the Pistons in general, saying they've had a great season, and JB Bickerstaff did a great job with them, and they've gotten really good veterans to complement the young players on the roster, and Tibbs is not taking them lightly, and also saying that Mitch and Cat have gotten limited minutes together, but it's been promising thus far. That's one of the things as well. Tibbs has to play Mitch and Karl-Anthony Towns together. There will be points where it'll just make so much sense for the Knicks to do that, both against the Pistons and against the Celtics. So they will definitely have to do that. But Tom Thibodeau, where he stands right now, he is not safe. And Tibbs knows this. He's not dumb. He's aware. He knows Leon Rose. He knows the front office. He knows that James Dolan has a tendency to get a bit antsy. And Dolan, that man does not care about the money at all. He doesn't care the Knicks just re-signed Tibbs. He's fine with them firing him if that means it's going to win them more games. It's mentioned by Begley. He's under contract, Tibbs, for 4 more seasons. Earlier in the season, Begley said he thought Thibodeau would survive any playoff shortcomings and be back next season, but that's not the case anymore. And Begley said he thinks that anything is on the table if the Knicks struggle in the playoffs, including a coaching change. Now, recently, I did make a video where I discussed the fact that, look, if Leon Rose and William Wesley, are they on the hot seat as well? If anything is possible, then it is possible. I don't think it's going to happen. As I mentioned, I don't think we're going to see either of these two get fired. Look at the roster Leon Rose inherited and look at where the team is at now. This man deserves to make a few mistakes before he gets even on the hot seat in general. Leon's job is fine. It's safe. He's not really going to get fired unless like something very strange were to happen over the offseason, but it would take a weird external thing to get Leon Rose out, especially with how close Leon and Dolan are. I don't want to see Leon Rose get fired. I think that would be a massive error, and I would genuinely be concerned about where the New York Knicks are going, and I think they'd find themselves right into the ground if they did end up firing Leon. So I don't want them to. He's been the best president of basketball operations of the New York Knicks. He's been the best front office guy running the Knicks in my entire lifetime. I don't want to see him get fired. One of my biggest concerns about Leon Rose is that he's in his 60s. I don't want him to age because I want Leon Rose to run the Knicks for my entire life because this man is good at it. There's no way around it. He is damn good at his job. And anyone who disagrees, you are so dead wrong. But on top of that, some other front office moves definitely could happen. Specifically, Garrison Rosas. He could find himself out of a job very, very quickly. The vice president of, I was going to say the assistant GM. That's not correct. He's the vice president of basketball operations for the Knicks, so essentially the assistant GM in all intents and purposes. So, basically, Garrison Rosas could find himself out of a job. He could get moved as well. Like, the Knicks might get rid of Rosas. They might get rid of Thibodeau. They might move Thibodeau into Rosas' job if they don't want Thibodeau to coach the team anymore. Would Tibbs do a lot, making, like, a lot of shots calling and stuff? Probably not, no, because it seems like Leon Rose and Tibbs think fairly differently about the structure of teams. I mean, Thibodeau at one point wanted to trade RJ Barrett for DeMar DeRozan and stupid stuff like that Leon would never do. Instead, Leon traded RJ Barrett for a also younger, not a younger guy than RJ, but a still younger guy who's been elite in OG Anunoby, who, is better than DeMar DeRozan. So there's that. Leon knows what he's doing. Tibbs is not a good president. We've seen that in Minnesota. He wasn't a good president. I mean, he traded Jimmy Butler because he had to for, Robert Covington and what else? I don't remember. Robert Covington was the biggest part of that trade. However, at the end of the day, where the New York Knicks stand, they could see Garrison Rosas get moved. Rosas has a spotty history in general, so he could be the guy to get axed in the front office. On top of that, Tibbs would be right there as well, getting fired, while Leon Rose and William Wesley would look for a new head coach. There's a few different options. The Mike Malones of the world, the Jeff Van Gundy's, Taylor Jenkins, Johnny Bryant. There is some guys who the Knicks could go out and try to hire. Those 4 are probably the most common names and 4 of my favorite options. I definitely think Malone's a fine option. I think the best option is definitely Jeff Van Gundy. Mark Jackson is not the correct option. He hasn't coached in over 10 years. Can we stop with the Mark Jackson thing? We've went through 3 different head coaches since literally 4, 5. Literally since Mark Jackson got fired from the Warriors and the Knicks were looking for a new head coach. It was Mark Jackson. Hire Mark Jackson. Maybe they should hire Mark Jackson. Guys, here's a new idea. Hire Mark Jackson as the head coach. Constantly. Then they hired Derek Fisher. Should they have hired Mark Jackson over Derek Fisher? Yeah. Then they hired Jeff Hornacek when people were like, Mark Jackson, guys, I know we've never thought of this idea before, but what if we hired Mark Jackson? Then the Knicks also tried to hire Frank Vogel. He went to the Magic. The Knicks hired Jeff Hornacek. All of us were just relieved it wasn't Kurt Rambis. And then the Jeff Hornacek experience goes awry. Everyone's like, well, maybe the Knicks never heard of this one before. What if we actually instead of hiring anyone else, we hire Mark Jackson. And then on top of that, what we do for our assistant coaches, we hire Mark Jackson. And then later, what we're going to do is we're going to fire Mark Jackson and replace him with a just duplicate of Mark Jackson. We're just going to clone him and make a whole team of Mark Jacksons. Even the players are all going to be Mark Jackson. And the owner, we're going to change with Mark Jackson. Can we shut up about Mark Jackson? He was not a great head coach. I'm sorry he wasn't. He wanted Klay Thompson to be a post-up, low-block shooting guard. No. He's the second greatest shooter of all time. What the hell is wrong with you guys? Mark Jackson. Anyone who wants Mark Jackson, you've lost your mind. He hasn't coached in 10 years. Jeez Louise, he's also nuts. Rubbing anointed oils on Steph Curry's ankle, saying this will stop you from getting injured. No! I don't want that. I don't want that on the Knicks. The guy's a weird dude. He's a weird guy. He's a good analyst. All due respect, but he's not a good head coach, man. He's not. And in 2022, the Knicks thought about firing Tom Thibodeau, specifically William Wesley, who didn't like the way the Tibbs was coaching the team. And Ian Begley said back in 2022, sometime after the Knicks lost to Brooklyn prior to the All-Star break, Dolan told Rose that the decision to keep Thibodeau or let him go was all up to Leon Rose because Jim Dolan lets Leon Rose do what he wants because that had to be part of the deal somewhere. It was made clear then that the finances involved would not factor into the decision. Thibodeau has at least one guaranteed season left on his 5-year contract. Obviously, there's more now. Rose obviously has decided to keep Thibodeau at this point. Bleacher Report reported that Rose had decided earlier that month to keep Thibodeau. The 2021 Coach of the Year would be back the following season, and the one after that, and the one after that. And now we're finding that we're ourselves back in this conversation. So Leon Rose has thought about it before, and mainly because William Wesley said so. And the thing about Jim Dolan, as I mentioned, the man does not care about the money. He will fire Tom Thibodeau if it means Leon can get someone better to get the job, which isn't Mark Jackson, just to reiterate. However, at the same time, I do think they should go and fire Thibodeau and hire Jeff Van Gundy. That's my opinion on it. Just how I feel. Jeff Van Gundy's been an excellent assistant coach for the Clippers. I think he should get into the crack with the Knicks. I think he'd fit in perfectly, but we'll see what happens. Guys, like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Do you think Tibbs is going to get fired? Let me know in the comments down below. Goodbye. Have a great day and go Knicks.